So I'm up this morning, first light. It's 5:30 and this is my favourite time of the day. I love coming out here early on a weekend morning just to have a little look around the garden. The birds are singing and it's a wonderful time of day to be getting out and about. Check on a few of the plants and see how they're doing. Wonderful and quiet out here. And you know, as I walk down the garden, I can definitely feel a nip in the air this morning. It's a little bit cooler, but I must say it's a lovely change. It's nice to be out in the coolness of the morning. Beautiful. So standing here now in the early morning, the question of the day is, are we going to see any rain this week? I do hope so, for the sake of the garden. And just look at these beautiful agapanthus. These are the fireworks. And just over the other side of the garden there's a few more, standing wonderfully on their long stalks. So I've got my morning coffee and it's an ideal time now to give the greenhouse a little bit of an air in and also have a little look around the garden and see how the plants are doing and if anything needs a little bit of a tidy up or a water. So this week I've been stringing up my dahlias as these were tending to flop all around, and it also gives me a chance to look at some of the other plants. Like this very large hosta guacamole. It's been in this pot now for 3 years, but if you just look inside there you'll see that there's a large hole now in the centre, and that's a good indication that this will need a little bit of separation. So one job to do now when this dies back is to split this plant. It hasn't done as well this year as it normally does, so I'm going to split this into some fresh compost and make quite a few plants out of this. Now I have got plenty of other hostas here and these ones do okay. They haven't been in the pot for as long, so these ones will be okay for a little while longer. I don't keep them in the ground as they tend to get eaten alive by the slugs, but in the pots here they seem to do okay. There's 1 or 2 little holes in the leaves, but I'm not too worried about that. Now at the bottom of the garden is where I've got these Arundodonus grasses, and they haven't done as well this year as normal, but I think that's because it's so dry. So I'm going to take this opportunity to give them a good watering. Now I haven't really fed the plants as much as I normally would, as it's been a struggle just to keep up with the watering lately. So I'm sure that these will appreciate a good drenching. And the problem I've got here is I've got quite large conifers just around this area here, so the earth is always a lot drier down here. But hopefully now they will enjoy that. And I'll have to give the garden a good watering tonight, I think. And while I'm down this part of the garden, I might as well do a little bit of deadheading of the roses. There we are. And the salvia purple and bloom, it is picking up a little bit, but not as much growth as I normally get. It's probably down to this dry weather, I think. So moving into the greenhouse, and I really have got to come in here at some point and give this a good clean. There's quite a few cobwebs in here, but things are doing okay. My little cuttings, these were the Euphorbia Wolfenii, so I've got quite a few of them and they're doing okay there. There's a little John Phillips cutting there at the back and two little cuttings of a pineapple plant. So they're doing well. Now this yucca here, I have brought into the cover of the greenhouse, and it does seem to enjoy the heat. So it does do a lot better indoors than outdoors. And while I'm inside the greenhouse, I might just as well have a little tidy up of my Ioniums and just take a few of the dry leaves off these, just to make it look a little bit better. And it could probably do with a little bit of a water. Now these are succulents, and this one was bought as a very small plant. And I've had a few cuttings off it over the years and given them away. But just because they're succulents, it doesn't mean that they don't need any water at all. And I do keep this in the heat of the greenhouse. Now and again I take it outside, but most of the time it lives in here. And just by taking off those little dry bits, it looks a lot neater. Don't really know what variety this is. Just says Ionium. So I'm not really sure about that. But a lovely looking plant nevertheless. And I've also got a darker one here at the back. So I'll give these a little bit of a tidy up of these bottom leaves. And then give them a water. just give these a little drink. And after a little tidy up inside the greenhouse, things are looking now a lot better. Got to do it now before it gets too hot. And I've managed to get rid of most of the cobwebs as well. There we are. Just that top shelf to clean now. So it's 8 o'clock now and the sun is starting to get pretty intense. I think we're going to be in for another warm day today. So 5-10 minutes later, let's have a look inside the greenhouse and see how it's looking. Well, that is looking a lot tidier now. And it's surprising how a little 10 minutes can just transform a little space. This was looking really dusty and full of cobwebs. And now everything's had a little water and looks a lot healthier. If I just step inside, you can have a proper look now at that Ionium. Just look at that. A wonderful plant. Beautiful. And while I was in the greenhouse, I came across this lovely little white pot here. And it has got a hole in the bottom, so it was a shame to waste it. So in here has gone a begonia from the garden. And sometimes you pop into the garden and you see things that you haven't even noticed before. And I never realised just how good this Trachycarpus virginii was looking at the bottom of the garden. It's been in now a few years, but the leaves on this are absolutely wonderful. And I don't really take much notice of this palm, but it must like it where it is. So thank you so much for joining me in the garden on this lovely lazy Sunday morning, and I'll see you all next time. And if you haven't already, please like, comment and subscribe, as this really does help the channel to grow. So I'm going to go now and enjoy my coffee, and I'll catch up with you in the next video. Bye for now.